Family, welcome to another exciting edition of A Shot of Wrestling, the interviews. This is Abel the Green Man, and if you have not done so already, you can follow us on all forms of social media at A Shot of Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, and Shot of Wrestling No A on Twitter. You can also contact us via email at inbox@ashotofwrestling.com or dial it up 619-343-3005 and leave your comments on the Shot of Wrestling hotline. Now, we say it time and time again that wrestling brings us together, and today is no different. Today, we are joined by the sexy, the talented, the queen herself, Nyah Kennedy.
Hey there, Green Man. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, Nyah, I've been excited all day. I've had a shitty day at work, but knowing that I'm ending my evening here with you made it so much better.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Now, we've been running in the same circle thanks to our dear friend Eric Jaden, and after every show, you and I always have a great conversation about the wrestling business, about your stories from back in the day, your stories now, the memories that you've had and are continuing to develop. So it is very fitting that we spotlight some of that here on A Shot of Wrestling. But before we get to all of it, why don't you tell us how you got mixed into this crazy world of professional wrestling?
Well, as a little girl, when I lived in Colorado, I used to watch AWA, and there was one man in particular who stood out that I absolutely adored as a little girl, and that was Nick Bockwinkel. I had a major crush on Nick Bockwinkel when I was a little kid, and then when I got into high school and I was in Oklahoma, I would go to wrestling every chance I got, and I always said that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a wrestler. And I got lucky, and right after I graduated from high school and was starting college, I lucked out and answered an ad for training for women's wrestling, and from there on, since 1987, I've been rocking and rolling this crazy business that I call home.
Very true. But it must have been a different time then. So because nowadays people could look up schools, go to your social media, maybe, interact with a wrestler through there and say, I want to start a career in professional wrestling. But back in the day, you just saw a flyer or something?
The guy who owned the wrestling company actually had put an ad in the paper for women wrestlers. And it used to be, they changed the name to International Wrestling Alliance. I can't, for law purposes, name the other name of it before because of a situation between the two co-owners back in the day. But the same school that I went to is the exact same school that Too Cold Scorpio went to.
Oh, wow.
So we actually hit the road together when we started traveling out of Colorado.
Now, nowadays, it feels like independent wrestling is starting to create like their own kind of classes. But you were back in the territory days. Who were the people that you were mixed up with?
Lucky for me, the gentleman that I worked for, not only did he have the military contract, but he also was a business genius. I mean, all his shows were sold. So there was no worrying about, ticket sales or anything like that. You guaranteed what your pay was.
Oh, wow.
He took care of transportation and accommodations. The only thing you had to do was feed yourself, and you got to keep 100% of your merch sales, which back then was only 8x10s. And then they started the Polaroid pictures for $5 a piece, and then you'd sign it, autograph it.
Right.
But once we started traveling on the road, we actually only would do a show at home in Colorado maybe once a year. Even that, we were as far west as Chicago, Wisconsin, all the way down south to Texas, all the way up Montana, all the way to California. Also, I've worked in Alaska, I've worked in Honduras, Puerto Rico.
Alaska?
Yes.
What kind of wrestling's going on in Alaska?
They had this huge, it was a 2-day event for the Alaska State Fair. And the gentleman who I went to work for, his name is Al Berg, who also happens to be one of my best friends for almost 30 years, and also one of my tag team partners when we used to do tag teams back in the day when I worked. So back in the day when I did shows, we do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come home. And sometimes I would wrestle 2-3 times a night. I would have my singles match, a mixed tag, and then a battle royal at the end of the night.
Wow. You've started your wrestling business in the 80s, and it's 2019 now. How much have you seen the business change, and has it changed for the better or has it changed for the worse?
Um, I would say both.
How so?
I'd say it has changed for some good to where there's more women in the business now. Because back in the day when I was working, we were like seen just like the midget wrestlers were seen like as an attraction. And now you've got the intergender matches. You have a lot more people doing more gimmicky stuff,
Hmm.
which is good and bad. Like me to the day I die, kayfabe will always be alive to me.
Okay. What do you think
So
we as a wrestling community lost track of that? When did we lose kayfabe?
Um, honestly, I can say that it's back when owner of a particular large wrestling organization decided to just call it sports entertainment.
Okay.
I mean, like, yes, it is sports entertainment, but when we get in there, we put our body on the line every single night when we go in there. It's
Hmm.
like you're feeling those body slams. You're feeling those flips. Those drop kicks and all that. Being thrown outside, your body feels that. So to have somebody just like kind of lessen that aspect in it is not how it should be. And so now there's too many fans that want to be on both sides, and I also think that there's with social media, way too much information out there. What happened to being surprised?
It's funny because it's those same fans that would complain, there's no element of surprise anymore,
Yeah,
but yet I'm the one that's digging in and trying to find out as much as I can before anybody else finds out, the backstory that got before it actually got to the ring. It's the same thing
yeah,
with
exactly.
anything. I feel like the internet now has also opened it up for like so much people to get spoiled. You have, the Avengers Endgame, everybody's going to see that, but you really have to stay away from the internet if you still want to be surprised when you actually go see this movie.
Yeah, that's true because people will go and see it and then they'll come right back and be like, oh,
Did you see
this and
it?
that. And I'm just like, I just avoid it. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I'm trying to remember, I think it was one of the Star Wars movie came out, I believe. And I remember putting a post up on Facebook saying, if you spoil it for the people who haven't gotten to see it yet, you're an ass. Plain
Yeah.
and simple as that.
It's true. It's true. It's damn true. We started the show by saying that wrestling brings us together. Who are you most grateful that wrestling has brought into your life?
A mixed blend, a grab bag of some of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life, because like you have to be of a certain mentality to be in this business and work it and enjoy it, because it's a lot of hard work, it's a ungrateful job as far as like the road wear and the hardness on your body and having to always go into the gym and train, and to stay up on everything. That's one thing that you always have to take care of. But I also love the fact of seeing all the new people now, getting out there and working their butts off. You see them promoting, and because we didn't have to do any of that back in the day. Like promoting for me was like getting to the town I had to work in and either going in and doing an AM TV show
Mm-hmm.
or radio show or being brought in the night before and going out and promoting, going to all the clubs and stuff like that and doing meet and greets to get people to come to the show. But
Now,
that
that
was
sounds
about
like
it.
it's part of the art of wrestling and putting a show together. That is not doesn't happen as much nowadays. Everybody puts all their chips on social media. Like if you have a show to promote, you're like, oh well, if I just put it on social media, they will come. Do you feel like that's a lost art? Like that's something that wrestling today could benefit from, like for the talent to be doing meet and greets before the shows, like weeks before?
I definitely do. Like even like even a day before, or even like I think it's also everybody in the locker room. They should have enough tables and be wanting to do the intermission and going out and meeting the fans. We did it at every single show.
Mm-hmm.
Every single show we had intermission for half an hour. We'd go out and sell our stuff and meet and greet with the fans, and then go back. And sometimes I'd be like grateful. I'm like, thank God that this intermission is for my match because I probably won't sell much merchandise after they see how much of a big heel I am. Because I'm all about that heel life, baby.
You are all about the heel life. Did it come naturally at first?
You know what? It came easy for me because like it's like if I'm in a bad mood, I can just use that as fuel, like even sometimes like I can have some of the most evil things going in my mind about stuff I want to do to people out there and have the biggest smile on my face because it brings me pleasure. It's like once I get into that building, everything just switches over, it's just like it's all business. But they say the heels are like the nicest people.
But back when people believed in kayfabe, did it make it difficult for you to be a heel, going out to the crowds and being hated and having people think that that was actually you instead of just having it be a character that you're portraying?
No, not really, because my philosophy is this: if they believe it, then and really hate me, then it means that I'm doing my job.
So did you ever get any hate from the fans after shows, or were you ever afraid of what would happen if you didn't walk out with someone at the end of a show?
No, never, because the lucky thing is like some people don't realize that, yeah, I'm a manager now, but I was an in-ring worker for years, so I definitely can protect myself. I've also done female boxing. When I was in high school, I was assistant coach for Roman Greco wrestling, so I definitely can take care of myself. I mean, but I've been threatened a few times during my career. I had a woman in Arizona threaten to shoot me.
What?
Yep. She came up to me at the end of the show and said, thank you so much. She's like, I've never seen somebody make me so angry to where I wanted to do bodily harm to them. I said, bodily harm? I said, woman, you threatened to shoot me. And then we got a good laugh, and she's like, thank you. She's like, you're great, your job, to bring that much hatred out of somebody. I'm like, hey, that's what I get paid for,
Who are the people when you got started that got the most heat?
Definitely Paul Orndorff.
Wow, okay.
Because he was definitely a huge heel back in the day. And like I say, the promoter I worked for, this is when Vince back in the day would allow his guys to contract out to independents. So I always was on the show with, if not, 3 to 4 WWE or WWF back then guys on the show, like Rick Rude, the Road Warriors, Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, the Killer Bees. All these guys, Rick Martel, all these guys on the show. So I was fortunate enough to, even after being finished with wrestling school, to have a continued education with all these guys who had been there, done that, on the way. But Paul Orndorff was a good one. Gary Hart, I love Gary Hart. I studied him when I decided to come back and be a manager. Sherry Martel, I used to talk to her on a regular basis, so she's another one that I looked up to as well.
Oh my gosh, you must have been channeling her at the BCW anniversary, because when you came out with the Deadly Sane Squad, I swear I was like, I saw Sherry Martel. Like I saw her, like I was like, wow, like Nyah is fierce, man. Like she's got the look down. Like I don't want to mess with that woman. And it kind of made me relive those moments of, Sensational Sherry with HBK or Sherry, Sister Sherry with Harlem Heat. Like it was so cool. Like, were you channeling her in
Yes, thank you so much. Like I've been doing more research and stuff on her, trying to do more stuff, being more active. And like I definitely have been more active in the ring, or on the outside of the ring during Eric's matches, getting a little bit more vicious. Yeah. As we like, because I'm a feisty girl. So like I tell people now, I'll kick your head off. Now, as one of the opponents found out at the BCW show last time.
Uh-huh.
Life on the road and just advice from her.
Okay.
Advice from her, asking her, this, and she'd always say, you don't want to be in this business. I'm like, too late. I'm already hooked. This is a very addicting job to be in. It's really hard to walk away. And like people keep asking me, are you going to come back and, wrestle in the ring?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, I may do a match maybe here and there if it's necessary, but as far as full-time action, absolutely not.
Back when you were wrestling actively in the ring, what were some of the names that we may be familiar with that you would say were some of your best matches with?
Definitely Shirley Black, my friend Sabrina Fury. We were rivals for a couple of years. Sandy Starr, we were adversaries for years, and that's actually when I was a face. Yes, I was a face for a while.
Really?
Yes, I was.
I can't see it. I love you, but I can't see it. You come alive as the heel. That's a lie.
Yeah, definitely. And it wasn't too long. I wasn't a heel too long, but Yeah, it was definitely heel for a while. Cheryl Russo, who played Lightning in the Glow Girls, I wrestled her in California a few times. Lady Victoria, I can't. Denise Storm, Molly, good golly, Miss Molly,
Oh.
Molly McShane. She was the girl that I wrestled in Cuba for the Caribbean tour, Cuba, Honduras, and Puerto Rico.
How's the areas like? Because you mentioned, so you mentioned Cuba, California, Texas, New York. As far as like the wrestling community, the wrestling fans, where have you found the best area to wrestle in?
I would definitely say South.
Okay, how come?
California, we had some good fans too. Because South, it's just like, back then, it's just like it was all like old school, it wasn't all these spots and flips, not as much, It's like back in the day, you maybe had one like match where it was like two smaller guys that were doing like the flips and this, that, and the other, and then you had like everybody else doing their regular matches, not doing all the flips and the super kicks and the high
Yeah.
spot as now. So like even still to this day, the South fans are still more old school, But my best fans are the ones that just enjoy it, and not sit there and try and be on this other side of the guardrail. The ones that for that 2-3 hours they're in the building, they're just there to experience this awesome work being done in the ring.
If it wasn't for wrestling, what do you think you would be doing in your spare time?
Well, I originally went to school to be a police officer, and
Really?
then yeah, I
Like
wanted to be
recently, recently?
no, this was a long time ago.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually switched my majors, but I wanted to be on the SWAT team. I wanted to be a sharpshooter.
Oh,
That's,
wow.
is
I,
that sick of me?
no, I could totally see that. I could totally see
But
that. You would sneak in right at, like no one would see you.
right,
You have like
I'm a
that little
ninja.
sneakiness about you. I love it. Oh wow. So what happened with that?
My eyesight,
Oh
my
man.
eyesight's bad, but um, and then I also wanted to while I was out of the business, I was actually a chef. Well, I'm actually a retired chef. I retired in 2015.
Get out of town. What was your specialty? Like if there was one dish that everybody would rave about, what was it?
That's a good question. I actually had we had a critic that went around the town that I lived in when I was living in Iowa, and I didn't know it, but I ended up having one of the top three best burgers
No
in the
way.
town. Yes, it was called my blue bourbon
Mm.
burger.
Naya, I'm falling in love with you the more we speak. I am a horrible. I gotta be honest with you. I'm horrible at cooking. Like my type of cooking is like directions on a box of a mac and cheese. Like I do mashed potatoes out of that powder box. Like that's how bad I am.
I
Like
grew up in a family of chefs and cooks.
oh yeah, did you? Was it a
Yeah,
big family?
not really big. I mean, like I have my uncles, my aunts, my grandparents, my mom and dad, brothers, or my brother, my cousins. So we were a very tight knit family. My grandpa was a chef, my grandma was a cook, my mom and stepdad had a restaurant. So I always grew
Oh
up
wow.
around everybody cooking, and it was always from scratch. You didn't like open up a jar or open up, a can opener or pull anything out frozen. Everything was fresh and made from scratch.
Listen, Trader Joe's has some great frozen meals. I have to
They
say.
do. They do. And after 15 years of cooking constantly, working 80 plus hours a week, I go that route.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Trader Joe's is the
Now
way
that
to
I live,
go.
yeah, definitely.
We spoke a little earlier about like the women's revolution and you being part of the early part of it. There was a conversation that we had after a show once where you were explaining to me how upset you were that Becky Lynch was calling herself the man. Why were you so sensitive to that moniker that she has now?
Um, I've kind of like understand it now, but when she first came out doing it, I was thinking, it's like me is just like us women have worked so hard to make our place in this business. And for you to want to be the man, why can't you be the woman?
Right.
I am the woman. I am the alpha. I am the woman. I am the best in this business. So, but like, it's her thing. She wants to be the man and it's doing her good service, then more power to her. But I'm all about like us busting our butt to get where we are now, to be proud to be a woman wrestler. especially today, because they have so much to be proud of.
I'm all about the women empowerment. I'm all about the women's revolution. Did you ever think that women would be spotlighted like they were at WrestleMania in that main event?
No. But then, I would have figured, no at the time, but, when you think about it now, I'd say no before, but now it's just like, just think, it had to come eventually when you finally gave them their own pay-per-view, and they killed it.
Right.
And they did very little advertising for that pay-per-view. And
Which
those
is a
girls
shame.
went out there. Yeah.
We criticized that repeatedly weeks into that Evolution pay-per-view on how little time promoting that event that the company did.
Exactly.
It was
and
a
those
shame.
women went out there and killed it. And I was so proud of them, like I tell people, like you got so many people, like, yeah, there are a lot of women in the industry now, a lot. And you may think like, oh, somebody took my spot. There's no such thing as somebody taking your spot. Your time will come, Everybody has a talent, and maybe they're just looking for a certain thing. Don't beat yourself. Don't have any hatred towards that other person, and don't think that, oh, that person is better than me. It's just that that particular person had something that they were looking for that at the time you didn't have.
I speak with you, and that's funny that you bring that type of mentality into the mix, because Eric is the same way. Eric Jaden, he sees wrestling as much as individual sport, it's also a group sport.
Yes,
everybody,
exactly.
When you're putting a show together, everybody strategically has a place in the card. Everybody contributes something special to make the event special. And I feel like a lot of the new people, in the training nowadays, it's, how could I step on someone to get ahead rather than elevate someone so we could elevate each other? Do you see that in the business?
I see it sometimes, or ones that like don't understand the respect for the vets. Like, I have respect for my people before me, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't got where I've gotten. And just like if it wasn't for me, the ones underneath me wouldn't gotten where they've gotten. It's all a process, We've all got to thank somebody who started it before we did, and you got to listen to them and respect them. But at the end of the day, in this business, those persons did something in this business, and you can always learn from them. Like the saying goes, ears open, mouth shut.
Everybody gives that advice. I've heard it repeatedly coming up on the show. Until you're actually in that moment to understand it, I don't think people understand it. Being allowed and given the opportunity to be around you guys, because we're not workers like you guys, but we want to learn and we want to be observant, and we want to be grateful of that opportunity. But I'm in that moment where I'm next to someone that I maybe idolize, or I'm like, I can't believe I'm standing next to this person or sharing a conversation with this person. I always remember that, just head down, ears open, and mouth shut.
Right. Exactly. And that's the same way with me too. Still to this day, it's like over WrestleMania weekend, a lot of the guys that I worked with, were here for WrestleCon and for, WrestleMania weekend. And so just getting to visit with them and talk and, see how they're still doing and still having that level of respect, because, they're still to this day still doing it. They may not be doing it on a bigger scale, but they're still out there and people still know who they are, and if they've made it in this business this long and still doing a good job, then obviously they're doing something right.
Right. Now, I know you're not the type to name drop, but I gotta know, who are these guys
that I worked with and visited with over the
WrestleMania weekend? Who are these guys?
Rikishi. We used to work together, him and Sam, when they were the head shrinkers.
Oh, wow.
We all toured together. Coco Beware, he was one of the first big stars that I managed.
You managed Coco?
Yeah, I managed him on a show in Arizona when he was a main event against Honky Tonk Man.
Get out of town.
The guy who was the manager for Honky Tonk Man, I ended up punching him so hard he loosened one of the fillings in his mouth. Tito Santana, I saw him. Jim Duggan, saw him. It was good to see him after he just recently had his surgery, and his wife Deborah. Like, I've known her and him since I was 15, back in Mid-South days when they would come to Mid-South. Ric Flair, I've known Ric Flair since I was 15 when he was the NWA champion, and he would come to Mid-South to defend his title. Like, I was one of the girls that would, runners that would go and get them food.
Was it really always a party when Ric Flair was in town?
Oh, it was always a party when Ric Flair was in town. In fact, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and this was during WCW, and they were doing a show in Sioux Falls, and we were all in the bar hanging out, and I was like, I went to go say hi to him. I was like, man, I haven't talked to you since, 1985, 85, and he was like, was I respectful to you? I'm like, yeah. I was like, you used to send me to go and get your hot dogs and your Diet Coke, and he was like, oh. He was, I just want to make sure I was respectful to you. I'm like, yes, you were.
Oh, Rick. So you started earlier your career in the ring, and then in between 2008 and 2015, there was a break. What happened between those years in your life?
I had quit touring as much because I got married in 95, and had a kid in 96, so I ended up being a stay-at-home mom. But I still would like tour from time to time, take a show here and there. And then once I got a little older, I started having like a few health issues, so I had to stop. I had injured my back at a pay-per-view I did in California for UWF, and then I did one more wrestling match in 2008 because my younger son had never seen me work before live. So, but after that, I took a break and I was working full time. But in 2015, I moved to New York from Iowa, and I just like, when you're living in a big city, there's more shows. So there was more shows than I had been exposed to actually go to in Iowa. So I went to a ECPW show with Gino Caruso and talked to him a little bit and told him that I was interested in being a manager. And he says, just let me know when you're ready. And the rest of that summer, I just sat there and did research on Gary Hart, Skandar Akbar, Sherry Martel, Nick Bockwinkel, and just studied all like the heel workers and managers, to kind of get a feel for what I wanted to be as a manager.
Okay. And then,
but it was definitely a nice break, like issues, and I had to have heart surgery because I had actually had a mild heart attack in 2011.
Oh my. But that was during your time away from the business.
Yes.
Okay. How's everything now, health-wise?
Oh, I'm great. It's just like I try to get into the gym as much as I can. I try to be more careful what I eat. I think like everything that I had done to me, the surgeries and everything, definitely helps me out to pay more attention to my health.
Now, with a better health, a better outlook here in 2019, do you see yourself returning to the ring and being more than just a manager?
I may do maybe a couple of matches here and there if need be. Maybe like if I had to do a mixed tag with Eric, because I stick my nose in business a lot. I'll do anything to make sure that Eric and the squad wins if I have to. Like if the referee didn't see it, it didn't happen. And even if the referee did see it, I'll make him question his own eyes. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Because I didn't do anything.
Now, we've thrown around the name Eric Jaden before, love the guy to death. How did you and Eric Jaden get mixed together?
Well, I met him at an ECPW show in the Rockaways, and I started managing the disassemblers with Bobby now, and back in the day, Jazz Sisto.
Okay.
And they were friends, and so when we would ride to the shows together, then I was just starting meeting Eric, and then at one ECPW show, he asked me if I wanted to go out and manage him, and I said yeah, and we clicked so well together. Like, we've been working together for over 2 years now.
And you guys are great together, and it's nice to see the evolution. I think that's one thing I always give props to Eric as much as I can, but the evolution of his character is something that he prides himself on, and it's something that's very old school of him and you as well. You have evolved ever since I met you to where you are now. You have found ways to evolve your character, and sometimes it's the smallest detail that you put into it. Like at Anniversary for BCW, the mask that you guys all adorn, was an evolution of your squad. I'm very interested to see where a year from now you guys will be.
The squad, they're all doing amazing things. They're an amazing group of talented men that I'm just so blessed to share a locker room with and call them my brothers. we have a great team. And then me and Mark, the class and sass crew, as we are when we go out there, it's a great time. We go out there and we
That's the first time I've
respect
heard that
each other.
before. Are you trademarking that, the Class and Sass crew?
Me and Eric, me and Mark, ever since we've been working together as a team, we call ourselves Class and Sass.
Interesting. I like that. It's like your guys are best friends.
Yes, exactly. And then he stepped up. He took a nice punch for me at the anniversary show when that jerk Frankie Flo put his hands on me.
Horrible man. Horrible.
Horrible man. He's going to get his just due on the 27th.
Yes. So the war pretty much has ended at BCW, but there's still a little bit left over that's going to go to Legendary Action Wrestling right around the corner, April 27th. Eric Jaden's putting the title on the line against Frankie. Does Frankie deserve another title shot?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. You just because you say all of a sudden, oh, I want a title shot, so you should get one. But I can just tell him this. You can get all the title shots you want, but walking out with that title is another thing.
That's true. That is very true. So looking into the future, Legendary Action Wrestling, April 27th, and you're preparing for a very special weekend for yourself. The CAC has a special place in your heart. And for those who are not familiar with it, why don't you fill us in a little bit about what is the Cauliflower Alley Club Conference?
Yes, Cauliflower Alley Club is one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the country. And it is all wrestlers, referees, ring announcers, all that who come together every year for a reunion. And there's all kind of things. There's 2 banquets where we have 2 award ceremonies. And this year, Mark Henry's getting an award. We have every year we have big names coming in taking awards. Trish Stratus has gotten an award. Edge has gotten an award. Stone Cold Steve Austin has gotten an award. Last year was Shawn Michaels that got an award. Yeah.
It was breaking news here on A Shot of Wrestling, if everybody remembers correctly. We broke the news of that. We had a conversation with one of the members of the Killer Bees, dear friend to us.
Our president, B. Brian Blair, who also I've shared the roads with up and down for many, many years.
Yeah,
he's our president.
He totally gave us the exclusive to that, which we appreciate. But this year, Mark Henry, he's done a lot. I feel like as much as an influence he's had while his in-ring career is doing, he's also, still in that wrestling community with Busted Open Radio. So this is a great honor. That's awesome. Who are you looking forward to seeing or sharing moments with this year?
I'm just blessed every year to go back and see the people that I've met when I first started going in 2010. And literally, I have not missed a year since then. And then I was so angry at myself that I hadn't been sooner, because it's also a great cause too. They help out wrestlers who are in a need of help, either be if they have bills they need to pay, or if they have to have a surgery or anything like that. The CAC will help them. They also help with scholarships. So it's definitely a good cause. It's I've been a member now. I love it. They have seminars, learning seminars for you to learn when you go there. They have a bowling tournament that they do. They have a cribbage tournament that they do. We have this contest called the Strut Off, the Jack Sweeney Strut Off that they do every year, and it's teams of 2 that go down, and then there's 3 rounds, and I'm hoping that I can get to be a good partner this year and take the plaques, and I think that would make a great birthday gift for me.
You're also celebrating your birthday during that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big celebration.
It's a milestone. I can't say what the milestone is,
but
because
it is.
People wouldn't believe me anyway. So, the CAC it runs from, there's 2 wrestling matches they do as well, but it ends Wednesday night, and then my birthday is on Friday, so it'll be a whole weekend celebration. I'm actually looking forward to.
Well, on behalf of everybody here at A Shot of Wrestling, happy early birthday.
Well, thank you so much.
I think you're going to have a blast, and you're going to be amongst your family, your peers, and it's going to be awesome. I'm really happy for you. When we get back together in a year from now, what do you want people to be saying about Nyah Kennedy?
That she was one vicious queen that did what she said and said what she meant.
If anybody wanted to follow this journey that you guys are in, where could they follow you on your social media?
Okay, on Instagram, it's Feisty All Day. On Facebook, it's Nyah Kennedy. On Twitter, it's also Nyah Kennedy.
Nyah, I love you. Thank you so much for joining us. And there's still last calls, so stay tuned. There's a lot more to come.
Thank you. If you want more of the Queen, my royal subjects, stay tuned to the end of the episode for Last Call with me, Nyah Kennedy.
Well, family, there you have it. Another great interview here on A Shot of Wrestling. I want to thank, again, Nyah Kennedy for joining me. It truly is a pleasure anytime I get a chance to speak to this woman. She has so much knowledge, and it's finally great to have the opportunity to shine that spotlight on someone as special, as great as the Queen herself, Nyah Kennedy. But interviews, they're just part of the experience here on A Shot of Wrestling. Michael J. Putty and Mark Schwann host a weekly podcast where they review all the things that are important in the wrestling community, whether it's Raw and SmackDown cheers and heels to what's coming up next at your local independent wrestling show. You could listen to them on B Plus Player Radio or Bodyslams.net or wherever podcasts are found. So to wrap things up for tonight, if you're ready and willing, I'm able. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I need to announce it's last call at the bar.
Oh. All right, everyone, we have made it to my favorite part of the episode. It's last call, and we have the Queen here with us, Nyah Kennedy. Now, it's rapid fire questions. The first thing that comes to your mind is the first thing you should answer. Are you ready?
Okay. Are you ready?
I don't know. We're going to find out, but away we go. What is your favorite meal?
Tacos.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes.
What is the greatest feature on a guy?
His lips.
Name a wrestling hold that can double as a sex position.
Ooh. Boston Crab.
Oh. What is your favorite
Camel Clutch.
Oh. Interesting. Very interesting. What is your favorite TV show?
Oh, a Law and Order SVU.
If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Invisibility.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh my goodness. Steve Adams from Oklahoma Thunder.
And finally, what is your favorite karaoke song?
Ooh, I would have to say AC/DC, Back in Black.
All right. Well, on that note, I think maybe it's time to hit the bar and hit some karaoke. What do you say, Nyah?
Oh, definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us on A Shot of Wrestling. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you very soon.
Well, thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be on. I enjoy you guys so much.
Hey, baby, I hear the bell ringing, hip tosses and body slams. Oh, my. And maybe you seem a bit confused. Yeah, baby, but I got you pinned. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know what to do when I see them with that golden case. They're cashing it in. Authority all in my face. What is a man to do? Good night, everybody.